Hey everyone, it is I, Phil, from The Week in Doubt. I know I just released an episode, but this story has been all over the news, and I figured I'd cover it while it's still fresh, so to speak. So it seems a young American man from Alabama, a Christian missionary of sorts named John Allen Chau, has been killed, shot to death with arrows to be specific, by indigenous people on a remote island, apparently while trying to proselytize to them. So to give you more detail, we're talking about the Sentinelese, the native tribespeople of North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal. When I first heard about this story, I think it was entitled something like Indians Kill Christian Missionary or something to that effect. So at first I was thinking, oh wow, Native Americans killing Christians with bows and arrows, old school. But no, once again, these are natives of an island in the Bay of Bengal, the northeastern part of the Indian Ocean. So that kind of Indian. And from what I understand, this guy really went out of his way to try to make contact with these remote or isolated islanders. Not a good idea for a number of reasons. For one, these people, the Sentinelese or Sentinelese, really seem to prefer living in isolation from the civilized world. They're well known for not being very welcoming, shall we say, to outsiders. Chau isn't the first curious outsider or adventurer to die after approaching or trespassing on Sentinelese soil. Another big reason why it's a really bad idea to try to make contact with the Sentinelese is that due to being so isolated, they lack resistance to common viruses such as influenza and measles. So keeping your distance isn't just about your own safety, it's about theirs as well. So here's an excerpt from the New York Times. A graduate of Oral Roberts University, oh boy, Chau was fixated on spreading Christianity to North Sentinel, telling friends he had been working for years to make the right contacts. You guys might think I'm crazy in all this, he wrote in a last letter to his parents, but I think it's worth it to declare Jesus to these people. And apparently he was well aware that the Indian government does not want people setting foot on this island. But undeterred, he paid off some fishermen to take him there anyway under the cover of night. And here's another quote from Chau's letter or journal. The Milky Way was above, and God himself was shielding us from the Coast Guard and Navy patrols, he wrote. So God shielded you from the Coast Guard, the people that could have actually stopped you from getting yourself killed, and instead steered you right towards the hostile islanders. Cue the sad trombone. Now, I know a real person died here, but despite my usual empathy, it's hard for me to feel all that sorry for him. He went well out of his way to the point of flouting the law to make contact with this tribe who apparently has no interest in being contacted. He supposedly made multiple attempts. During one abandoned effort, according to his own journal, he shouted, "My name is John. I love you and Jesus loves you." Now, I imagine if you're a Christian listening to this, you're probably going to be much more inclined to feel sympathy for this man than I am. Here's this young man with a zeal for the Lord trying to spread the good news and save these heathen souls. But from my point of view as a relatively rational human being, or so I'd like to think, who tends to believe that religions are just man-made belief systems, this guy seems, if I was going to be charitable, extremely naive and deluded at best. At worst, incredibly presumptuous and arrogant. This is what I find so distasteful about the whole missionary/conversion thing in general. There seems to be this implied belief or message that my religion is better than your religion. Let these people have their own beliefs. Do you have to convert everyone? Do you have to try to wipe out every other unique belief system? Not to mention the flagrant disregard for the physical welfare of these people. He studied them enough where he must have had some knowledge of their lack of genetic immunity to our common viruses. Maybe he thought God would magically shield them from disease. Sadly, that's probably not too far from what he actually thought, if he even gave any thought to their health at all. I guess the moral of the story should be something like, leave the Sentinelese alone. People with bows and arrows and uninvited guests don't mix. Or it's alright if not everyone's got Jesus. Just because you believe everyone needs saving doesn't make it true. Other people have their own beliefs.